everyone, and good evening, everyone. Today, Dhamma Pariyesana discussion series will be moving on to a different type of discussion, and today's discussion is not a discussion about Dhamma in particular. In today's discussion, we will be discussing, especially we will be looking at the contribution of Professor Tilak Kariyawasam into academic studies, as well as to uh, as a Buddhist practitioner. So I hope this will be very interesting to all of us. And I know Professor Kariyawasam told me that this would be the first this kind of a live interview. I would say it's a live interview. So he's so happy to share his life with us. I hope that we'll be learning a lot of things. Uh, Abraham Lincoln once said, "If you want to test a man's character, give him power." So even though this is not political, but I would say that if we want to test someone's character, we want to give that person power. That means recognition. If we don't give recognition, we will miss out on the important parts of that person's life. So I know Professor Kariyawasam must have been interviewed by many people in the past, including myself in the past 7 discussions. But in this kind of a discussion was a desideratum, was something that was really uh, you know uh, long overdue. So then that's why I decided on behalf of Paṭisota to do this live interview with Professor Kariyawasam. Uh, Thank you, Professor, and you are joining today with so much happiness. And how have you been?
Yes, okay. Thank you very much for anyway getting ready for
You're
this kind
welcome.
of
You're
interview.
welcome. And we happy more than you to know about you. So the first question I will be asking is about your childhood. So this live interview will be focusing on a couple aspects of your life. I would say childhood, the present, aging, life lessons and legacies, adulthood. I'm sorry, I think I missed something. I would say life event, childhood, adulthood, identity, present, aging, life lessons, and legacies. So this is how I will be asking questions about your contribution to Buddhist studies and to you know to, to the Buddhist practitioner's life. So we will dig into all that. So the first question for you, Professor, is where were you born?
I was born in Kimbia, that is the village belong to Gaul district, and our nearest town is the Gaul town. And it was a nice village, of course, with a nice setup and surrounded by the mountains and very fertile area and nicely grown everything.
Okay,
And
I think
that
the
is
next
about.
question was already answered by you. Can you describe the neighborhood you grew up in? And you said that such a uh, it is such a nice place where you had a good landscape. What was the landscape like in that area where you born?
Uh, yes, of course, it is, as I just mentioned, it is the village, but it is a large village, and nearby the very big rubber plantation, as well as the tea plantation, uh, and my house, of course, situated one of the mountains little down, and I can there paddy field as well as the road going into the village, and little bit upwards another mountain. So the whole village was rounded by the mountains.
So that sounds really interesting because you were born in a place where you had this mountainous, surrounding. It was really nice to hear that. Tell me about your parents. What memories do you have of them?
Yes, my parents, of course, is the uh, one and who really had the very rich life, and he was really uh, enjoying his life because of his father, that my grandfather, and he earned a lot of things because of, and he was a mudliya. So then he cultivated, planted the very big rubber land in Hinuduma area, little bit far away from our village, and that lot of income was coming, and he was really having very good time
Okay.
with the incomes and so on.
Who was more strict,
And
your
mother,
mother?
of course, and she did not really do anything, engage in any profession, and she was really uh, we were brought up by her in the family nicely.
Sounds good. Who was more strict, your mother or your father? Do you have a vivid memory of something you did that you were disciplined for?
Yes, my I more attached to the mother, but I was, as usual, normally I was little bit scared to my father. Uh, but he did not really very much uh, threaten me or uh, punished me very much, but still I was scared to him.
Okay. How many brothers and sisters do you have? What memories do you have with them?
I have two brothers. I had actually, because I am going to tell, two brothers and two sisters, uh, and I am the eldest of the family. So altogether five children, and of course uh, very young age because of kind of ailment, and recently died my one sister, and now one brother and one sister, they are living.
Okay. Um, let's turn on to the education. What kind of school did you go to? Were you a good student? What was your favorite subject? Least favorite?
Uh, First, I was educated in my village school that is called Kimbia Mahavidyalaya, and then I moved into Ratansar College because I want to get little more about the English type of education, and that was the best and little bit closer to my house. That was not really very much close, about 3 miles away and so on. Ratsri Ratansar College, what we call, and it was a very famous college at that time. And I went there for the seventh grade. And at that time, of course, my favorite subject was the uh, Sinhala literature, kind of novels and so on, which I used to read.
Okay, okay. So, how long did you go to go to those schools, and did you continue your schooling up until ordinary level, advanced level? How did that happen? Did you continue?
Uh, this way. Now, uh, I told that, and the seventh grade, that's the seventh grade that I went to Ratnasara College, and I attended into the seventh grade again into the Ratnasara College. Then I studied only about 2 years there. Then I became a monk at
Oh,
that time.
Oh,
So then, as a monk, I had to go to Vidyaloka Pirivan, Gaul.
that sounds very interesting. You became a monk. So when was that? At what age did you become a monk?
Uh, I became, I think, 14 plus, nearly 15.
Okay.
And yes, I really wanted to become monk, and I liked that at that time, because mostly become monk and so on, that kind of atmosphere. And again, uh, it was a different kind of a story because of the proposal came into one of my uncles. I heard about it. Then immediately I went to my mother and asked, "Shall I become a monk?" Then she said, "Okay, it is very good." And she probably not very much believed at that time. Only she said it's also a very good thing. So then
So
I decided from there.
so this is kind of a question that came to my mind just now. Like you said that it was a proposal. Like in Sri Lanka, we know people talk about proposals with regard to marriages. So why do you call that it was a proposal that led you to become a monk? Was it not your real intention to become a monk?
Yes, this is because of one of my uncles, and he used to reside in my house also because his rubber plantation nearby, so it is easily he can go there. And one of his brothers came and talked to him that, and I am going to become a monk because one of the very famous uh, chief monk, it's called accurately Amaravansa Nayakatero, and he was searching because he want to send them to Germany. I heard this one. Then I got interest to become a monk. I don't know whether to go to Germany or something, that kind of a thing, but immediately it came to my mind I also should become a monk. Then I went to the kitchen, and my mother was cooking at that time. That happened by about 7 o'clock in the evening. So then I asked my mother. Then mother also at that time, she was happy, but she probably not really believed at that time. But anyway, she said it was very good. So from that onward, I wanted to become monk.
Okay, so you said you became a monk, and then I guess that you studied in Pirivena, where the small monks study monastic schools. And then what was your life? So this question can be put in this way. I would say, what was your graduation from Pirivena like? You know, when you graduate from Pirivena, the immediate thing is that maybe I guess that you and I heard from you like informally that you went to Colombo from Goal, uh, right? So then to study further, and then let's focus on your advanced level or the kind of exam that time that that uh, help you to get into university. So uh, so basically, what was your graduation from the Pirivena like? So what were kind of your perceptions uh, about the next stage of your life after that?
Yes, since I became monk, of course, and my teacher, and he was always advised us to learn, and I was learning the Sanskrit and Pali, and really, that the Panchatantra, Hitopadesha, and that kind of books, and we had to learn by heart, and the grammar books and Balavatara and Saraswata, Sanskrit and Pali grammar books, and we had to learn those things. Then at the same time, I was really learning to sit for the O-level exam, but at the same time, I had to move to Colombo. By that time, of course, I learned quite well, of the subjects, Buddhism, Pali, and Sanskrit, because I had become a Abhidharma teacher in the Dhamma school in the Vidyaloka Pirivena, so I used to study Abhidhammatta Sangaha, so then Dhamma and Pali, Sanskrit, and so on. Then I moved to Colombo. When I moved to Colombo, then my teacher asked me to go to Vidyodaya Pirivena.
Okay, so let's now move on to the next part of the life interview. It's about your adulthood as a monk. And I guess that you became a higher ordained monk in the meantime while you're studying, right? My question under the adulthood section, the first question is: did you go to university or college? How did you decide what you want to study? I think you went to university, right?
Yes,
After
I
that.
went to the Vidyut after that and Vidyodaya Pirivena. From the highest class, that means the last class, the final year of the Vidyodaya Pirivena. Then at that time it was the permission granted for the students and who pass in the final year exam of the Vidyodaya Pirivena, they have the chance to enter to the Vidyodaya University. So then on that ground, I entered to the Vidyodaya University in 1963. Uh, and when I entered to the university, then I had to choose the subject. And at that time in the curriculum, I got the curriculum there. So then I saw that and there is a special kind of a subject that is a Buddhism. Buddhism subject, if you can specialize is from the first year, then you will be given a kind of a scholarship. That means a kind of a fund, 50 rupees a month, that was quite so then I got the two things. One thing, I liked Buddhism to follow that because of I told that and when I was in the Vidyaloka Pirivena, I was a Dhamma teacher and teaching Abhidharma. So then I got interest about this following Buddhism course from the first year level and to the fourth year in order to specialize that subject. That's how I selected. Then I got the 50 rupees, what do you call the bursary also, bursary or whatever it is. That is 50 rupees is given. The whoever may follow at that time, I think only I selected it. Then later on, some other uh, colleagues also have joined into that class.
Okay. So, if I'm correct, you entered
Yeah.
Vidyodaya Monastic School in 1962, and then you entered the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, and at that time it was called Vidyodaya University in 1963 when you were 21, and you were at the University of Jayawardenepura for 4 years, from 1963 until 1967 into December. And you studied Buddhism, Pali, and Sanskrit in the first year, and then you studied Indian philosophy, Buddhism, and all that. And I'm interested about the professors, teachers who taught you, and you said a couple names to me informally. Uh, they are very very famous scholars and monks in Sri Lanka. Venerable Professor Balangudananda Maitri Mahanayaka Thero, Venerable Professor Damunu Maye Nyanratana Thero, who was your Abhidhamma teacher, Professor Emeritus Professor Mahinda Palihavaddana, Professor Mahanama Karunaratne, and I think there are many to mention. But I mean, uh, all in all, do you have a special memory of one of these scholars who sort of like inspired you a lot?
Ah, yes, in the first year, there was a very good teacher. I was really admired him. I learned quite a lot. And he was the Now he is in the United States. I think he is retired now. Uh, Sumana Shanta, Sumana Shanta, that and he was the one of my favorite teacher in my first year, and he taught actually five aggregates and the four noble truths for the whole year, and really he gave everything. And at that time when he was teaching the five aggregates, and he really connected the Sarvastivadi points also into that, and I was well versed about that particular subject. That is probably given me the strength to earn the first class at the end of the fourth year, I think.
Oh, that's great. So you earned your degree with a first class in Buddhist
Yeah,
studies. That's
in
really.
studies,
Is
yeah.
that Professor Shanta Ratnaik in Georgia?
In Georgia, yes.
Oh, okay, okay. It's a famous college too. Okay, so
Shantaratna,
then, yeah. So then, the next thing I'm going to ask you is after you completed your university studies, after you earn your Bachelor's of Arts honors degree with the first class, and I'm just wondering about your job. So, what was your first job? What did you like or not like about it? I know that you became a visiting lecturer at the Javadhanpur University. Then it was Vidyoday in 1968 for 2.5 years, and after a few months you became a temporary lecturer. So basically I know that part, so our viewers also can understand that what you really did after you graduated.
yes. After I was graduated, and I really knew because I was at that time it was habit of in Sri Lanka to publish all the results in the newspaper. So I was at that time in Vidyaloka Pirivena. Then one day in the morning, because what the newspaper was coming very early in the morning before I get up also, and there had been a little bit of a shout was going on. Then I immediately got up. I knew that, and I got a first class. So then everybody were happy. So am I. Then uh, after that, then I went to see my department and the head of the department at that time, famous one of the very famous teacher as well as, and he was monk, and Kotagam Vachisaratero. He was a very famous one in the political field as well. So then I met him. He was a very good one, very nice one. So then I told him. Then he said, "Okay, all right, you must get ready because whenever the vacancy is available, we will call you." And within 1 or 2 months, and he sent me a letter to come to the department, and he immediately granted me the visiting lecturer. Uh, we called it a post actually, visiting lecturer post. It is hourly basis they pay that. So then I had an interview, then was appointed as a temporary lecturer.
And in 1969 you became a permanent lecturer at
That's
Javadhanpur.
right. That is another interview.
Correct.
Then after that, I was permanent
Okay.
lecturer.
And apart from the normal questions that I'll be asking today, and I want to ask you about 1970. In 1970, in September, you proceeded to United Kingdom, to University of Lancaster to do a PhD. Uh, and yeah, please would you mind sharing with us about your university study, especially your PhD in the Lancaster University?
Yes. The At that time, of course, and there was a little bit of this is because of now with the first class BA, you can directly get into follow the PhD course at that time. So then I had the chance to get the university scholarship. So then they mentioned that, and you have the chance to get the university scholarship, and you have to find out the placement from your university. Then I wrote to three universities. One was the Lancaster University, the other one is in Canada, where the Venerable also joined. I can't remember the name, Madam. Canada, one of the famous university. The other one is the United States, the University of the West. And I wrote to these three places. Then finally, I had everything completed with the Lancaster University. Then I went to Lancaster University because of under the Professor in Smart. At that time, there had been some of the Sri Lankan PhD holders were there. Now, some of them, Professor Marasinghe, and he got his PhD from Lancaster University, and Dr. Panaboke. Now they are no more living now, but they were the ones and who really gave me the inspired me to go to Lancaster University. So then I selected the Lancaster University and I went there. And Professor Smart was very kind person, and we did not have any difficulties to follow our PhD course there.
Sounds good. So, in your postdoctoral, I'm sorry, in your doctoral thesis, I would say your research for your PhD was Buddhism. I'm sorry, Buddhology of early Mahayana and its relation to Pali. I would say its relation to Pali Nikai. So it looks like that you were studying Mahayana to sort of looking at Theravada. It's not just you studying completely Mahayana, because you're studying Mahayana elements to see the Theravada. And then you studied under the famous scholar called Ninian Smart. Uh, I think who was very famous for
Yes.
Mara concept. I think he studied a lot about the Mara concept too. And then you
Yes.
finished your doctoral degree in 1973 in September, where you went to Sri Lanka. Uh, was this a time uh, you sort of had a lot of turning points in your life before you go into Sri Lanka?
Yes, of course, because of, I must say that, and completely my life really uh, made a kind of progress uh, because of that. I went to England and I studied in the Lancaster University. I had so much associations, that means so much of friends, especially the English friends, and they became really good friends and they helped me quite a lot in my thesis as well. So then the teachers, of course, also the particular topic. Of course, I uh, went there with the topic of the traces of Mahayana in the Pali Nikayas. But when I took that topic, then there was a very good teacher called Michael Pai, and he really selected this particular topic, and after discussing with me, then he gave me this topic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Turning to your personal life back again, apart from your education, how did you meet your spouse? What did you like about her? I know your spouse in at the time it was Mrs. Indra. Um,
Yeah.
so how did you meet her?
So then after finishing my PhD, then I came back to Sri Lanka. I engaged again in the university life. So then by that time, because as I was living in the room in the university, then I thought, of course, that and I must get married because of that was a part of life. And uh, then uh, I it was a kind of because we had some kind of association with some uh, friends, as well as some kind of very well-to-do persons. And one of the, because I engage in the teaching again in the Dhamma school in Colombo, and the Dhamma school head teacher, and she, of course, found this particular proposal of my wife. So then, and she was by profession a beautician, and she was also coming from a very good family, and I selected her because of and she is doing some kind of a profession at home, and she had her saloon at home. So then I liked it very much, as well as, and the other factor is, and I could have reside in that house. It is next to the thing is that, and at that time there had been a kind of amalgamation of the university by the government. So then we were asked to transfer to the Calny University. Then I thought, of course, marrying my wife, because of that she was living in Vattala. So then I thought, from Vattala I can go to easily to the Calny University, and that factor also I considered at that time.
Okay, I want a short answer from you. So like now people might be confused that you said you were a monk and then you went to United Kingdom as a monk, and then was it something that you disrobed somewhere between?
Okay,
When was that?
sorry about that. I could not really explain about my life change in England also, because I went to England as a monk in 1970. Then I thought by 1972 to what you call the change my life from monkhood to become a layman, because at that time the political situation also was changing in Sri Lanka very much, and some more other, and I changed my life, and that was no problem, because of in England there was not very much problem of changing that type of a thing like in Sri Lanka, not like in Sri Lanka. So then, of course, I came uh, back to Sri Lanka as a layman, then with the doctorate degree and Dr. Tilak Kariyawasam. I changed my name also. So then, uh, to change my name in my thesis, it was not very much trouble in England, only to give a letter. So I gave a letter to the Department of Education, my name also in the thesis. So came as a Dr. Tilak Kariyawasam to Sri Lanka. Then after that, and my life really continued as a person who is working in the university.
What was your name before becoming a layperson? What is
It is my village is a Cambia, and as a monk, Dhamma name, what we call is a Jnana Tilaka.
Jnana Tilak? Okay, that's good. Okay, so what makes
Jnana
your
Tilaka.
Jnana Tilak? What makes your spouse special or unique? What makes your wife special or unique?
What I told that, and she was a professional one. That is one thing. The other one is, and she was doing very good job. That means beautifying the ladies, young ladies, to get married, and that sort of profession. And it was a very nice profession, and everybody liked her very much, and come and really give their young girls to get dressed up, some that sort of a thing. And again, and the other thing is, and and she was uh, straightforward kind of a lady. That means, and she hidden way, if she feels like any kind of a thing about me also, and it's straightforward, and she really expressed that.
She's open
So
minded.
that kind of yeah, open mind, and very good, and very intelligent also. And people used to say that, and she was little bit kind of a lady, very straightforward, very tough lady. So they surrounded the people.
Okay, sounds good. What about your children? How many children do you have? Um,
Uh,
yeah,
I had
how
two
many how
sons.
many
I have
children?
two
Two children.
sons.
Okay.
Yeah, two children, only sons.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, what are their names?
Uh, the one name is actually the Tarish eldest one. Normally we use Tarish, but given two names, Tarish Ramana Kariyawasam. The second son given the name as Chatura Mahali Kariyavasam.
Oh, great. So, for viewers, I wanna.
The names I selected actually.
Okay. So, for viewers, I wanna say that both of Professor's sons will be coming live with us at the end of this live interview. Both of them they live in Edmonton, Canada, so uh, they will be with us at the end of this live interview. So, Professor has two sons. And what makes you proud about your children? What makes you what makes you proud of your children?
Uh, yes. Actually, they also studied very well. And the eldest son, Tarish, of course, and after the advanced level, and he selected his own way to go to the kind of institute, technological institute in Sri Lanka, and he chose the subject because I really gave him the asked him to follow the subjects which are really not relevant at all very much, and because he was with me at a young age when I went to England on sabbatical leave on a Commonwealth Fellowship. So then at that time he was with me. So he learned very much English. Then when he came to Sri Lanka and he wanted to follow an advanced level course, English as subject and so on, and French also, and the another subject is Western classical culture. Then the fourth subject, I asked him to study Buddhist culture. Then ultimately, no any choice to go into the university. But somehow or other, when he passed advanced level, one of my relatives came from the USA, and when we were discussing, and he said, there is a particular kind of institute and technological institute. You go and find out there what is there. Then I asked him to bring their curriculum. Then ultimately, I thought that, and according to the pass marks of the advanced level, and he can select the kind of subject. It is the uh, economic following that economic kind of a subject. Then ultimately, I asked him to go into that. Then he followed that course. Then after that, and given the diploma course, diploma degree after 2 years, then asked whether to go to the USA or not. Then he found himself to go to one of the universities, that is the Wisconsin University Superior. He selected, and there also had a kind of scholarship, uh, half rate payment. So then I thought that and I can afford. So then he went there.
Okay, sounds good. So, Professor Kariyawasam, now let's turn into your job back again, because I know that just to make details short, and we have one other questions, I will just read because I have your CV too. In 1984, you went back to the United Kingdom to the same university under a Commonwealth Fellowship for 10 months, and you did a research about Buddhism in England. And then you came back to Sri Lanka, and I think you then sort of like uh, you received some positions, academic positions at the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, Kelani University, like associate professor and professor. So, would you mind sharing with us, your time in that uh, in the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies as an academic in different academician in different positions, and what were you able to do in the department? What sort of changes were you able to bring in? And yeah,
Yes, since I was appointed as the head of the department, and the department, of course, was at that time and a little bit short of the lecturers, and I managed to get the appoint some lecturers enough for us to do the teaching part, because there are two subjects mainly, Pali and Buddhist studies. Then ultimately, I thought, and there had been a kind of a program earlier conducted in English medium for foreign students. Ultimately, that particular kind of a program has been stopped for a while, never to start it again. Then I thought to start this particular program in a different level, and uh, as a fee levying course only for the foreign students. So then I made a kind of arrangement and gave the proposal to the university. At the very beginning, university did not like very much it, but somehow other when I explained to them everything, and they granted me to open that particular kind of a course. That was a diploma course for foreign students. It was a 2-year course, and so fee levying course. And the first time only 5 students came from China, Korea, and Taiwan. And these 5 students, and they had to pay their fees in foreign exchange, foreign currencies. So then the the things was carrying on. Then ultimately it was really grown, that particular kind of a course, because after they continued their studies, they completed, then they could have gone into the degree course in the same university, Kalani University, exempting first year, and entered into the degree course and continue that. So then, after they pass a degree course, they could have, on that qualification, they could have entered into the postgraduate institute to follow the postgraduate courses. Then those students who entered into the diploma course with on the grounds of the advanced level qualification, ultimately they end up as PhD students in Sri Lanka. So that was very good course. Lot of foreign students came, and lot of fees also earned by the university because of that course. Then ultimately, um, recently, because of that earned money, uh, one part of the department building also has been also built up.
So, Professor, what I understand from what you say is that were you the first person in the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies in Calvin University who opened up the department courses degrees for foreign students in the history? Oh, oh,
Yes.
oh! That's a
No,
milestone.
yeah, that, yeah,
That's a milestone.
yeah,
So I think Kalani University and the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies should be very happy about it, because you were the person who started off this degree or whatever the diploma for the foreign students. I think they are still continuing with those courses, right? So that was a really good milestone. And
yes, it's still continuing.
And among your students who studied you, like a first-hand students, I know that there are monastic scholars and lay scholars. Among monastic scholars, I know Professor Devalekama Medananda Thero, and he was one of the first-hand students, and Venerable Rotumbo Pali Thero, Venerable Aparakis Punisiri Thero, who is I think an abbot in the United States in California, and Venerable Ahangam Ratanasiri Thero, who is also an abbot in Toronto, in Canada, and also another professor, monk, Venerable Terali Damratana Thero, who's, I think, he was the head of department at the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies at Calgary University some times ago. Also, among the lay scholars, Professor G.S. Somra, and as you said, that he was one of your students too, and Professor Udit Garu Singh, who is also uh, in service now. I think there are many more scholars. Don't get offended, because this is what I heard from Professor Kariyawasam. I think there may be many students who studied under him, but this is what we learn at this point, because we have to talk about other things in the interview. So we will proceed from that point. And let me ask you about your tenure as an academician at the Calgary University. So you sort of moved from University of Calgary to into postgraduate institute at Calgary University, which was in different places. I think it was uh, uh, it was sort of headed by different scholars at different times. I guess there was Professor Karuna Dasa before you, I guess, and then you sort of took up this challenge of becoming the director at the Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies. So, what was your experience at PGI PBS attached to Calgary University? And please share your experiences, and how did you get into that, and how was your experience, and what did you innovate for the institute, and how many years you became the director there?
Yes, it was a kind of a chance came to me without any kind of attempts, because I was at that time I was a professor and teaching in the. I gave up my head ship also in the department to another next to me, another now he is a professor, and then I was just teaching there. At that time, Professor Karunadas called me and asked me to accept the director post of the postgraduate institute. At that time, there had been a kind of a dispute, little bit of, and the three persons and who were really contestant for the post and had a kind of a problem. Then ultimately, minister has ordered and not to appoint any of them until the problem is settled, to appoint somebody else. Then Professor Karunadasa did not have any other person. Then he proposed it to me. But I also declined that. I thought. Then again, then the Professor Karnadas was searching for a kind of a suitable person and he could not find. Then finally, one of my colleagues, actually, I can say colleagues, Akurati Nandathero, and he was attached to the Buddhist and Pali University. Then Professor Karnadas has told him that, and I asked the uh, Tilak, they call me Tilak to accept this, and he is not really accepting. Then Akurati Nandathero then um, uh, gave me a call and asked me to accept that. Then I got the interest. Then I said, okay, all right, I will accept. Then I accepted it. And of course, and there had been a kind of a backlog. About 5 years did not held any uh, graduation ceremony. So then I cleared up all the backlogs and did the thing, everything nicely.
Okay. So according to your CV, I understand you became the director to PG IPBS. That means Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies, attached to Kelowna University, the postgraduate section of the Pali and Buddhist Studies, from 1998 up until 2003. That was a long time. And then I know that your spouse passed away in 2005, Mrs. Indra. That was a very terrible, sad moment. And I know that we know at that time each other because I was a student at that time, so we got to know. And 2008, on January 1st, you retired from Kelowna University after 40 years of university career. And then 2009, in 2009 June, you joined IBC, International Buddhist College in Thailand. And then after some time, you became the dean, graduate school. And then in 2012, you were given the emeritus professorship from the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, Kelowna University. So I just want to share all that in the bioinformation without going to discuss a lot because we have other questions. So and also I know other things that you got some you were offered you received some honors awards, and we will talk about them in the discussion series. So before I turn on to the identity questions, let me ask you, as an academician and a Buddhist practitioner, what are your suggestions and what are your innovative thoughts about Buddhist studies, Buddhism in general? You can share with us your suggestions that were not discussed elsewhere, that are really unique to you, that are really distinct to you. Your suggestions for the Buddhist studies, Buddhist academicians, monastic education, Buddhism in Sri Lanka, Buddhism globally.
Yes. Uh, Especially that I can say that, and the academicians, and they must study Buddhism properly, not only now see, as Sri Lankans, we are tend to study the Theravada Buddhism, but not only Theravada Buddhism, but also the other famous Mahayana Buddhism and Vajrayana Buddhism. We have to study all these things to say that, and we are completely uh, uh, well versed of Buddhism, and we know about Buddhism, that we can say if we really studied all these the three kinds of the branches of Buddhism. And the language wise, of course, and Pali and Sanskrit, of course, is essential. And some of them not really very much pay attention. If we really study the Theravada Buddhism, Pali and Mahayana Buddhism and Vajrayana also, Sanskrit is essential, as well as the languages, again, the Chinese language, as well as the Korean language, and again, German, and apart from the English, German and French, because of French and in French language and the German language, lot of very good books are available, and they were doing quite a lot of services and research on this field of Buddhism. So then those things are very especially for the academicians especially.
Okay, so we have this suggestion for anyone who want to study Buddhism. Do not just study one aspect of Buddhism, just not only Theravada, but also one has to focus on other types of Buddhism to get a full idea about the concept. Let's say if it is emptiness, you have to study Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana. So then it gives you a full idea. Do not just confine your uh, learning the concepts just from one branch of Buddhism. So it's a really good suggestion. I think in nowadays there are many practical issues for learners. I mean both practitioners and academicians because they don't know textual languages. If you want to study Buddhism, you should definitely know Sanskrit, Pali, also Tibetan and Chinese and other some languages too. So then you will enter into a vast arena of knowledge about Buddhism. It doesn't mean that you have to read all, but you will get a full idea about Buddhism by learning. So, and I think that's the main suggestion, the biggest suggestion you have. Do you have any other suggestion in your understanding as a practitioner? I think we will talk about it after in your daily schedule.
Oh,
So now I'm moving on to the identity questions. The
yeah,
first question I'm going to ask you is, what do you think are your three best qualities, your three worst?
yeah. Uh, so I think that, and normally that I like to help others very much, especially in the academic way also, because when I was head of the department also, I helped quite a lot of for my teachers in the department, and that is one. The other one is, of course, is the I have the very much about not really getting upset for any kind of thing in the department or any other way. I am not getting angry very much, and some of them are sometimes doing some things, annoying things, even though that, and I just not really open my mouth very much, just bear up it. The other one is, of course, is the kind of a way that, and in a way that, and I think because of from Buddhism, I have that is kind of a compassion, which I really developed within myself. That is the kind of a good one. Worst one, of course, is the uh, sometimes it is what I thought that, as I just mentioned, if someone does something very annoying, I do not really open my mouth at that time. The later on, probably I thought I would have told that something like that. That is a kind of a worse thing. But I think I have, because at the time I not really opened my mouth. One thing. The other worst thing, is, of course, is the way that, and I don't mind about very much uh, earning money. That is another kind of a thing, because always I am having a problem of the financial problem, because I lavishly do things. That is second one. Third one, of course, is the uh, I can't anyway get a third one at once.
Yeah,
I have to
that
think
sounds
it a
interesting.
little bit of what to tell you.
Okay. Um, what is your favorite book and why?
Oh, oh, it is a very interesting one, because I love very much one book. That is the book which I always mention in my lectures or any other in my previous discussions also. In the Paṭisota discussion also I mentioned many mentions by Jinasa Minara. I love this book very much because it has a real Buddhism in that, because it was a true stories given by Edgar Casey's, true stories of the reincarnation. In fact, what we called in Buddhism, it is Punabhava stories, and everything was a very educative, especially, and we all can get some kind of education about our life, how to lead our life. Because if we do any kind of a thing wrong in this life, we will get samsara. That is the kind of advice given in that book.
Who are the three people in
So
history?
I gave a copy,
You gave a copy?
three people,
Yeah. Who are the
a
three
copy to the
people?
library also.
Great. Who are the three people in history you admire most and why?
Ah, um, okay. Three persons. One was, it's of course, is the as I mentioned the first way, that and the Sumanratnayaka, and the other one is the Professor Y. Karunadasa, and other one is, of course, which I have to mention about that, the where I am working here in the International Buddhist College, the pioneer Venerable Vewu, Venerable Dr. Vewu actually, and I admire these three persons.
Why?
And Venerable you, oh, why? The first one is the Somanrat Nayak, and he was the very because he was really confident what he was teaching. Then at the end of the teaching, and he mentioned that nobody could give a better lecture more than this about this kind of a subject, that he very confidently he said actually it was true. That is what I like him very much. He was the best teacher. Then the Professor Karunadasa was very kind one, and he helped me quite a lot to draft my applications and everything, and he helped me quite a lot without really thinking about his resting and so on. Sometimes after work, when he went to get these things corrected and so on, and he really nicely did those things, and he have given me suggestions also. Because of Venerable View, and he's kind of a person to manage this particular institute where I am working, is really, he's collecting donations from various philanthropists from China and other places, and he spends to give the education for the students, Buddhist students, in fact, not only Buddhist students, any kind of students who come to study Buddhism, and he is given, and he is in nature by a Mahayana, but he does not have any bias of this thing, and he gives education in Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana for the students, and most of them were given, no, all of them were given kind of scholarships, and he spent quite a lot of to run this institute. All is what he collected money, and the motto is also mentioned Bahunang Vatataya, for the good of the many. So the kind of a thing, because of that he managed everything. I admire it. So
Great. What's the highest honor or award you have ever received?
that is the award, of course, the um, 40 years of teaching career in the universities. I on it 1980, January 1st, as a Vice Chancellor's Award of the Cali University. Because at that time I was completed 40 years of university career, could have done it 40 years.
Mhm.
So then I think it is best kind of a award.
And
Um,
yeah,
that okay, sorry.
okay. So, and you also received
Okay.
the highest award from the Vidyode Pirivena called Sumangala Vidyavatansa, right?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
That was one of the best one. Yes,
did
that
on.
means the yeah.
Yeah, so that was the highest award that the Vidyode
It,
Pirivena is conferring to someone, and also you were given
yes,
the emeritus professorship from the University of California, which is the highest. In the university career, when someone retires
that was the highest. Yes, yes,
from the
yes,
post of professorship, one can use the title called
yes,
professor after. So,
yeah,
but if that person, that academician, is given the emeritus professorship,
yeah.
that person can still use the professor title. So you got it. So they are the most awards and honors you got. And before we catching on your sons, I would ask three more questions, and I hope that you would answer in short. What's your typical day? How do you spend your day, start your day? What's your typical day like now?
Ah, okay. Now, for example, that is this is the way, not example. Actually, I'm doing the every day in the morning. Soon after I get up, I really have in my room. I prepared a place to worship the Buddha with gathas and everything. I really light up as a normal person of the justice and so on, and keep flowers and utter gatha and utter some few sutras, of course, Metta-nisans and so on, all these as well as, and I engage normally about half an hour meditation. That is also that is mostly very important one which I consider, and it gives a very helpful to my life, everything. If I have any kind of a problem, that is going to be solved because of these kind of things. I really believe that.
Professor Kariyawasam, I think Tarish is up on the live, so I will bring him because then we can talk the rest of the questions. Let me bring him to the discussion.
Okay, right.
Hello, Tarish. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good, and I'm very happy to discuss with your father, especially his life. I think he said to me, this is the first time in his life somebody and he's having this type of interview because everybody interviews for their own purposes, and then this is his life, and we are learning from his. I can also say it's a legacy because I know a lot of academicians who are writing articles, who are presenting in the conferences, but someone who is studying, who is presenting, who is writing, and also someone who can be easily approached for academic matters in a short time. It will be your father, Professor Kariyawasam. So I know that experience. So please share with us what you have to say about your father.
Well, I think from an early stage, because my father was involved in Buddhism, Buddhist studies, Theravada studies, and Pali, and the Pali language, I had the opportunity to discuss with him any questions that I had about Buddhism, about life in general, and that actually started at a very early stage. Um, Also, just like my father was mentioning, his kind of daily routine. I think he has practiced that um, for well, ever since I remember as a child. Uh, just like he has that today, he did have a dedicated space in my home back in Sri Lanka, where he would light up the lamp in the morning and say a few gathas and meditate every morning. So I think that kind of gave me kind of pushed me towards the direction of kind of embracing Buddhism and going in that path. So I also did some Buddhist studies in university and for my higher studies. So overall, thinking back about my father's life, his career, and as you mentioned, his legacy, I think it's pretty much intertwined in Buddhism and Buddhist studies. And being a son, I think that influenced me a great deal.
That's a very good sharing about your father. Can I ask whether your brother is joining with us too today?
He's not here yet.
But is he planning to join with us?
He might. I just messaged him also. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Tarish, and I hope that that was a wonderful sharing about your father. And because we know your father from an academic perspective, I know his personal life too a little bit, but your sharing complemented if there was any missing part in his life. Thank you, Tarish. You want to share something else too about your father?
Well, I mean, I've been listening a little bit in the background, and obviously, what I know about my father. I think probably academic wise, you and others who he teach, they probably know him better academic wise. But I am very proud of my father because I think. Um, he he is able, because of his background, he is able to bring kind of the lay perspective as well as the perspective of a monk. And because he has that knowledge, understanding, and experience, I think he was well positioned to, be a lecturer, be a professor in his field of expertise. And
Mhm.
and listening on in the background about his service, it does make me very proud. And to this day, if my father and I visit somewhere, it doesn't matter where, in Canada, in the US, or in the UK, or probably any other country, if we go to a Buddhist temple, especially something like a Buddhist temple that's kind of run by a Sri Lankan Buddhist monk. Most often, what I've found is at least one Buddhist monk in that temple probably at some point was a student of my father. So that's something I've always observed, and it's very great, and I'm extremely proud of my father.
I think that's a very good way of saying, understanding the legacy. When we say a legacy, it should have been, it must have been open and influence everybody, almost everybody. Like
Yes.
everywhere. I know monks in the US and Canada, also in Japan, because since he's been in the academic career for 40 years in Sri Lanka, most of the monks who have sort of like, you know, growing up in those careers, they know him and they have studied under him. What if you take your father with your mother, because you can't talk about your father alone, right? Because that was your mother, and because we talk about your mom a little bit in the discussion. So what do you see the support you got from your both mother and father? And I know she left, she passed away in early 2000. And what do you have to say the support that your father gave to your mother and mother vice versa? How do you see this both as an epitome of your success?
I think my mother was not um, um, that interested in the academic side. She was more of an artistic person. So I grew up in this kind of very different household where there was a professor, that was very ingrained in the academics, and then there was my mother who was more artistic. I don't know if it was because of that influence, but in my house, I think there was a very supportive culture. When I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my studies, I wasn't. I was never pushed by my parents to do one thing or the other. Typically, your parents will say, "Yeah, be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that." But I was never pushed. So I think that very supportive and open culture in the home with my parents kind of fostered creativity and opened my mind to exploring different avenues. So I think that was very important for me.
Okay, okay.
And,
And
and
yeah,
although my mother was not that involved in the academic side, she was very supportive of my father to pursue his academic career, and yeah,
who was the most influential person to you, mother or father? Which is a pretty bad question, but I would ask that.
I think I think my mother, she was very focused on giving me life lessons. Life lessons in the sense, you know surviving by myself. She always said, you should know how to cook and maintain a house, without depending on your wife. Uh, so in that sense, my mother was supportive, but
Did you become that person now?
oh yeah, I do laundry by myself. I clean by myself. When I want to cook, I cook by myself. Yeah, I think my wife isn't here right now, but I think for her, I'm not too much of a burden for her. But in terms of in terms of academics and shaping my life in a Buddhist perspective, I think my father was very influential, and because I was always around a temple, and I was always around Buddhist monks. that kind of resonated with me even today. And as you know, I'm involved in the Buddhist Association here in Edmonton, and so in that aspect, I think there's always some influence, in some level of Buddhist influence in my life. So I think that's kind of the legacy, if you will, that I received from my father.
Thank you. For those who don't know about Tarish in a broader way, I would say Tarish has become very active in the uh, in the Buddhist temples in Edmonton, especially in Edmonton, Canada. He was the president of the Alberta Buddhist Vihara Association for some time. I think he's still active with the temple. So I think his all his influence, apart from his studies in the United States and Sri Lanka, was sort of culminated from the influence from father, and he got this all the roots from father. So I think he's a legacy because although he was supportive to the monks, I think the most important thing is that how supportive he was to you and your other brother. So thank you so much, Tarish, for joining with us to talk about your father. Is Chatura with you now or still on the way?
No, he's not here, unfortunately.
He's not here. Okay. So in case he joins with you, please come on to the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Okay, Professor Kariyawasam, we have a few more questions to ask.
Yes.
The next question I want to ask is, how do you feel now about growing old? What is the hardest thing about growing older? The best thing? Do you get the question?
I feel about...
Yeah.
Yes. I feel growing old because of now I must say that I'm 78 years old. So then almost, of course, it's a time to someone should feel old. But I don't really take it as, because I do some exercises and I somewhat careful about my diet also. So in that case, still I am happy about my health. And though I am having some ailments, I am under medication for those things, but those things are not really giving me very much of problems. So then the things are going on that way. But I do feel that if there is not any kind of a major problem, I can work some time.
Okay. Professor, some people think that the most difficult thing with aging is accepting the age, because people look back and comparing their life. Okay, I was this young, I was this like so and so, but I'm losing that. So you are really right, because you're saying that accepting age at different times of the life, and then work to the best of what you know from that age. If you live another 20, 30 years, I hope I wish, what will you do? Do you want to live another 20, 30 years?
This way.
Because now you are 78. It's a pretty...
I don't really expect to live such a long time, because now I am 78. So then the Lord Buddha also lived only the 80 years old. Anyway, and but I feel like to work as much as I could. That is the way that, and I always think about it. And always I wish that I should not get any kind of ailment which other people get troubles. So if I can have the death, it should be a kind of peaceful death. Some people are dying at once, no. So that kind of death I am expecting. I know that, and I have to face the death, but I am happy to face the death. And sometimes I thought now it is enough. Of course, anytime the death also can come to me, but I don't really am working on. That is how the life should be actually, according to Buddhism also.
And I'm really happy to see that being in this age, 78 years old, like almost in the late 80s, 70s, you still want to teach Dhamma. You still want to teach Buddhism in an academic way. So that needs so much courage. That needs a lot of motivations because. Uh, Going back to the previous question, we are aging now. In your case, you are aging that far, and you still want to teach. It's not just because of money, but you still want to sort of like give the best dhamma, best knowledge academically to the students. So I think we should appreciate your effort. That's really interesting. Um, and I think that you will live longer without any sickness. That's our wish. That's the wish of your sons. That's the wish of us. I personally like this to be happen because you're spending a very good life, from a Buddhist point of view. My last question to you, Professor, is I think we didn't talk about uh, what piece of advices you can offer to Buddhist practitioners. Now, I know in the Buddhist academic field, there are scholars who are doing a lot of hardcore researches, very rigorous researches. I think that's kind of a academic thing, but I don't think that they all become Buddhists. It's just a subject, it's just a teaching, and they contribute to that study. But we can't say that every Buddhist scholar has to be a Buddhist person, but I think you are the both. So because you are an academician, Buddhist academician, also you are a Buddhist practitioner. So a lot of people in this video who are viewing this video want to know what piece of advices you have to say about practicing Buddhism. I think if you know Buddhism by language, by text, by theory, but if you don't apply that Buddhism, because when you study Buddhism academically, you become rationalized, you become very intellectual. Then the next thing is not just keep it as a knowledge for the exams, for just studies. If any person can use a dint of that knowledge, drop of that knowledge into their life, that life will be the best perfect life, the life that we've been talking in the previous discussions. So, what do you think? How much it is important for someone to put the knowledge of Buddhism into practice, and what is your sharing about practicing Buddhism? Why it is very important than just studying a mere study?
Yes. Now it is a very good question because what I really think that uh, I always think about that in what way we can, I can help others, in what way. Anyway, if I can help somebody, and I like to help all the time, and sometimes people make mistakes, and I really accept that people can do mistakes. So we will not really trouble them because of that mistakes of them. That is the mistakes, of course, that is the normal human nature. But we should not really going to blame them very much and punish them very much and so on. Very calm and quiet way. You must show that and there are mistakes, what are things and things like that. As well as, and what you should do, the way that you rise to the level of highest level, you should be really a kind of a humble person. That is most important, I think, in this world today, because some people, when they get some kind of a little things, but they are really trying to show that and they have got very much, very big positions also on. And the knowledge is also the same. Our knowledge, of course, and we knowledge normally test with our examinations and so on and with our positions, but there are so much to know, and I feel now I am still learning. I have to learn quite a lot. I am actually beginning to learn now. That is what I feel. That is the kind of advice I can give to others also.
Wow, what a nice practical thought that you saying to all of us that you now starting to learn. Uh, that means we have to learn a lot. But Professor, uh, adding on to that, is mere learning, uh, uh, bringing everything, uh, to us, because I think that learning is kind of a sutta panya, right? As we talk, what do you think about the rationalizing part of that Dhamma knowledge? Let's say, be that new knowledge, be that previous knowledge, and the need of rationalizing that knowledge, and then coming to a certain point where you verifying your knowledge, because knowledge is always getting verified, right? Now, if you talk about the Buddhist studies, the early scholars, especially the European scholarships, what they have done have been now differently presented by different scholars, in the uh, in 19th century. But in the 20th century, scholars view them differently. So that means knowledge is different at different times, because as much as the scholars finding new things, or maybe things that they were ignored by the previous scholars. So my part of my question was that, how is this knowledge fitting into practice? So why is practice important? Because in today's world, the Buddha's teachings have been much sought by many people, regardless of countries, cultures, because people finding the true answer to their life from Buddhism. I think it is not just from an academic point. So I was asking this place of this particular place where people finding the happiness in Buddhist teachings. So what you have to share with us about this particular, uh, global need and global demand for Buddhism from an academic point.
Actually, there is, what I understand, there is not such kind of a academic standard except what you find the real truth for yourself. That is the real academic standard. Because most of them are really arguing with the things and looking at the books and so on and talking and doing things, and ultimately they are going to be kind of a competition also for but these things, according to really the Buddha's teaching, these things becomes a kind of weaves it. In Pali it is mentioned ditti. So the what I really see that not really kind of a getting into a ditti, or you grasp it and you really loosely take it and try to see it properly whether this is the real thing or not. And this is how what you can attach to your life also. You should not get anything involved very much with your life also. You should not get anything onto you. and you everything you get with a loose way, because anytime you can really just slip off those things. And that is the kind of a way, that is what really has been mentioned as the middle path, Madhyama Patipada. That means and not really grasping very well, not really, taking, that is a kind of a thing, you see. So that is the kind of the Buddha's really teaching, what we can follow.
Thank you very much, Professor Kariyawasam. And I want to say a huge thanks to you because our viewers need to know that from today, this Wednesday onwards, Professor is not actively contributing for some time. He will be back, but he's going to be busy with his academic studies and his teaching and the stuff. But I will be starting off another series under Dhammapariyesana. This is going to be Abhidhamma. So it could be something like this Abhidhamma for daily life or something, but I will be letting you know later. So please stay tuned with us. And I again want to thank Professor Kariyawasam. I think this interview, this live interview, brought up a lot of things about your life, and I think a lot of people can benefit in understanding how an academician, especially in your case, you uh, grew up and then brought up all these contributions, both to academic studies as well as to uh, Buddhist practitioner life. So thank you so much, Professor Kariyawasam, and thank you again for your son, because you were able to bring them up to the channel. And thank you. Have a good day. Take care.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for Reverend for all these conducted all these kind of discussions. It was very interesting one for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.